bad photography, bad sound,
Bad sound.
bad storytelling.
Yeah.
It was just, and I'm like, no, I want to be a filmmaker. I don't want to be a home video maker. When I came to South Africa, I found more similarities with the culture here than I expected. What the culture shock was more of the colonial influence on the country.
Okay.
So let me tell you one thing about being a foreigner that actually is an advantage.
Okay.
It's perspective. Directing is not just making people say what you want them to say, how you want them to say it, and then telling the camera to move. That's like directing traffic. The Mr. Gibson story is so funny. It really is a funny one. I'll tell you what. And then I'm like, my God, it was so good for me to work for Bomb because, and then Angus was behind me. Then he was like, you know what? I actually own Bomb. Right. And then I won't like it, then I'll change it. Right again, then I'll change it. It took me 5 years to write the Book Helen script. And then a few hours later, they call back to say, no, we love it. Please, can we make it? Can we tell? So, of course, when I came back, I came back and went into production for Book Helen.
Halala, welcome to the Master Key. Lena gilibwana la kadia tsolo maila ngwatela ntesa singwatwana ezampulu ke feletse lo ngubhelo mafu qundo langa lokulungu nontanda kuphakanyiswa yey tinani namhlanje. I am Khojani, the captain of the ship. Today we have a trailblazer, a key player, producer, a director. He's been here for 20 plus years in this game that we're in right now. So I'm really excited about that. He's been on shows such as Shaka Ilembe, Jewel, Isibaya, Sierra's Gold. Is it Via too? Was that your first show? What? Viva? Via?
Oh my God, oh my geez.
I did read up
ancient
on
history.
Exactly. Today we have Mr. Adze Ugah. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good
Thanks,
to
George.
have you.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so
happy
much.
to be a passenger on your ship.
No, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much for agreeing to, being here with us. So to you guys too, you know what I mean? Come around, hang around with us and see if we're fit enough to be your friends. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. You know what I mean? I've got one of the best in the game for you. He's here to dissect everything that you need to hear about directing, about producing. We're going to be talking about a lot. Let me not spoil it for you. Let me just get into it. Mr. Ugah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm really happy to have you here, and I'm happy to hear your story today. I would like to know more about who Mr. Adze Ugah is. Where you from? How was your life growing up, and how you came across this, beast called storytelling.
This question, every time I answer it, it's always different. Because I can't ever fully tell the story because of how dense it is.
Yeah.
But as far back as I can remember, I've always been involved or loved the idea of movies and films and television in general.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, I was one of those kids that if I was walking down the street and there was a shop that had a TV that was showing something on the display, I'll be one of those kids who will always stop and just stare at that TV till somebody chases me away. I was that kid that if you sent to go and get water,
go bread or water,
and then I came across a TV showing something, I would stop to watch because I just couldn't break myself away. So I was obsessed with the idea of moving pictures or basically with stories in general.
Yeah.
I loved reading. I remember I looked forward to Christmas holidays because Christmas holidays meant we were going to go to one of our uncles who worked at a university and spend time with the family. And they had a library. The library was closed, of course, during Christmas holidays. But I would go to the library and 2-3 hours where it will open and I'd be there reading books. I think that was where I read my first Shaka Zulu story.
Whoa.
In one of those libraries.
Whoa.
So reading, I'm crazy about comic books.
Yeah.
Like every time I saw any kind of picture whatsoever with a dialogue balloon,
Yeah.
I would jump in. I want to read. So I was like a avid consumer of media. I just loved it. I don't know what led to it. I think it was just a bug that bit me
That bit you.
the moment I came out of my mother's womb, and it's been like that
Yeah.
ever since. I mean, I was that kid that, when you're in class
Yes.
and your teacher is marking your scripts or whatever, and she needed the class to be distracted while she worked, she would call me up to stand in front of the class and tell the class a story.
Oh, wow.
And the class would listen.
amazing.
And all I did was just regurgitate a film that I'd seen 1 or 2 or 3 days ago and just mishmash everything.
Yeah.
And that was how, So I think that was the beginning of my, how shall I say, adventure into the world of story. I wasn't too sure what the hell it was.
Yeah.
I'd watch a movie, old VHS, old VCR.
Yes.
Because growing up, we didn't have like cable or internet or anything.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have the VCR or the VHS machine. It was neighbors who had. So most of the time, I was spending my time in the neighbor's house.
It's always the neighbor.
And I'm sure I must have annoyed them now when I think about it. Now,
Yeah,
this kid doesn't want to go home. He's watching our films. That was me. Till eventually my father could afford a VCR machine, and it meant now you could borrow tapes from other people who had tapes.
Just play in your house.
And then play in your house and watch. And every time I watched the film, because there was no way of knowing what to watch.
Yeah.
As long as it was a film, you just watched it. So we consumed everything, like everything that was available that could be watched, from a VCR machine we watched. And every now and then I'll come across very good ones. Like, I remember the first time I saw Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
It was a film by Stanley Kubrick. And when I went to school the next day, I think I was in grade 8, that was all I spoke about. I said, this film messed me up, guys. You know what happened? And of course, everybody wanted to know what happened, so I kept telling them the story over and over and over again.
Over and over again.
So then, of course, knowing that this is my passion and this is how much I loved media, movies, film, comics, I didn't think there was a future in it, though, to be honest. Because, you're born in Africa, this is Hollywood you're watching, and God knows what else, Bollywood maybe, and even, Asian cinema.
Yeah.
And, was there a career in this? And everybody would have told you, no, there's no career. I didn't know any filmmaker, personally.
Because they were not exposed to such.
No, there wasn't. I had no uncle, I had no relative, I had no friend even who had a friend who had somebody who was in the film space. So my choice was to do something like engineering, something quite conventional, because I needed to make a living as a young man who was eventually going to be on his own. So I chose engineering, and that didn't work out because I found myself spending more time buying books about films and magazines about films than buying engineering books. So I knew that was trouble. I'm like, how am I going to do this very well if what I really love is not what I'm studying? So I decided to switch. And of course, I couldn't switch when I wanted to. I had to wait for the opportunity because there was no film school right now. I mean, at that point where I was growing up, there was no film school, like in the entire country. There was theater arts, but I knew I didn't want to do theater arts. I wanted to do movie making. I wanted to do filmmaking.
Yeah.
Then a film school was opened up, quite a small one, and I didn't waste time. I did not waste time. I just packed up my bags and told my parents, I'm going today. I didn't even tell them I'd already registered. I didn't tell them that I had, signed the forms and I paid the fees. I didn't tell them. The day that I was leaving was the day I told them that, yes, I'm leaving, changing my degree. I'm going to study film.
Oh, okay. Let me take you back so that we navigate this journey together. You mentioned that you were this young kid, we're in a country where there were not a lot of opportunities and all of those dynamics. If you'd be kind enough to tell me, which country is this?
That's
where
Nigeria.
you originally from?
No, I'm from, yes. So I was born in Nigeria. The province is called Kaduna.
Yeah.
It's now famous for being a Boko Haram attack haven.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But so that was the place.
Yeah.
And I think the first in my family to even venture into this space of film.
Yeah.
Like in the history of my ancestry.
What?
I just took the bull by the horns, took the dive, took the plunge. I took the risk because I had no idea whether I was going to land on my feet, whether it was going to lead anywhere.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so long story short, did a 3-year program, got the degree there, but I knew I needed to know more because at that time in Nigeria, only Nollywood was coming up, and Nollywood began like in the 90s.
For real?
Yeah, it began like 1991, 92 was when Nollywood started. But it was not the kind of films I wanted to make. You know, I mean, it was, bad photography, bad sound,
Bad sound.
bad storytelling.
Yeah.
It was just, and I'm like, no, I want to be a filmmaker. I don't want to be a home video maker. I want to know how to make films like the real guys do. And weirdly enough, while I was in film school, one of our classes, directorial analysis class, involved Shaka Zulu, the series that was made in the 80s,
I remember.
by Anglo, the one with Henry Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I was like, my God, South Africans can do this. And then I need to come to South Africa to learn how to do this. If this is what they can do, I'm like, nah, I'm coming here. So once I graduated, I did my research and discovered, there are film schools, and the most popular one or the most marketed one popped up, which was AVDA. And so I said, okay, I'm coming. So told my mom I needed to come. Please help. So there was a whole lot of putting money together to get a ticket, get the visa, applied, I got admitted. I came to AVDA, studied there, did my honors. And after my honors, it was about starting work in the industry.
Wow.
And I wasn't too sure where to even start.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, while I was in film school in AVDA, I had a very strong show reel. Like in terms of the films that I did while we were studying, your 35 millimeter film, your 16 millimeter film, your 20 millimeter films. In fact, I was one of those kids in my class or in my year. I had graduated already by term 2 because I'd already met all my quotas and my outcomes. So term 3, I could just coast around if I wanted to because I already had my things all already in order for my student films.
So you've already been you've always been a genius, basically.
I wouldn't say genius. I just work hard. Like if it's film related, I won't sleep. I won't eat. I can go hungry for days.
You're being modest.
I'll make
You're
it happen.
You're being modest right now. Like you.
Genius. If I was a genius, I'll rule the world. But I love it enough to make the sacrifices that are necessary. Let me put it that way. And hence, so by the time I graduated, I sent my show reel out to places. Say, okay, this is talking about 2003 now.
Wow.
Sending VHS tapes out to production companies. Hey, please hire me. I'm a aspiring filmmaker. I just got a degree. I graduated.
Yeah. And
I was lucky enough to get picked by Penguin Films to train as an assistant director.
I remember Penguin.
Yeah, Penguin.
They're still there.
They're still there.
Yeah.
So my first project was with Penguin Films on a TV series for SABC1 called Home Affairs.
Are you for real?
Yep.
Home Affairs was a big show back then. It was really big.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if they could play it again.
Yeah, no, it's solid. It holds. So I was an third assistant director, training to be an assistant director. That was my first gig, season 1. Then second season of it, they called me back to be a second assistant director, no more a trainee. And then by the time they were going for another season, they said, would I want to direct? Like literally. And I'm like, but I already committed to something else by that time. And that time I was speaking to Bom already about a show that they were developing, which was going to be eventually Jacob's Cross.
I remember Jacob's Cross. You've been on big shows, actually.
So that was it. So yeah. So long story short.
Whoa. Yeah. So that's a beautiful story. Yeah. So just to break it down to people that don't know at home, what is an assistant director? Before I take you back.
No. Assistant director, basically, you basically just help the director with the logistics of the shoot day. You're not necessarily creating anything with the director, but you're facilitating what the director wants to happen. Yeah. Whether it's cast related, whether it's location related, whether it's just the running order of the day related. That's what you do. It's not as creatively, impactful as it sounds, but it requires a very, very rational, sound mind. It requires a very, very logistical mind. But
punctuality, punctuality.
Yeah, and organization. Yeah, in terms of organization, being able to say, okay, we should start here and then do this next, because for the flow, it's like project management, on the day, and you get it done. Fortunately, that also helped me. as a director, because it's one thing to be a creative, to know how to tell a story, to know what characters go through and how to kind of like chart their arcs. But then it's another thing to say, okay, how do I organize that so that I can finish? Because there's nothing worse than having ideas that you can't make happen. And being an assistant director actually helped me to be able to kind of, how shall I say, organize my thoughts, organize my thinking, creatively, to go, oh, because we're dealing with the medium of film, I can do this, I can do that, and by the time it all comes together, I've got my scene.
You've got your scene.
Yeah, so it helped. It really helped. Yeah.
By observing and listening to what you said when we started this conversation, you mentioned that you were a very curious kid when you came across TV screens and whatnot. And I, for one, would say that was your calling, actually. You called to do that. Am I right to say that?
I believe so, yeah. I couldn't help it. Yeah. I couldn't help it. I like, how kids sit in front of their computers these days and they're on their devices. That was me in those days when they came to TV.
Whoa.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. I had no power over it. I couldn't control it.
Yeah.
So it called me, you're right.
Yeah.
I couldn't control it, yeah.
I can't help to think about it, but I'm really curious to know more about your journey from Nigeria. I mean, this is kilometers away. Thousands and thousands and thousands of kilometers
just 6,
away to
kilometers away. It's not
just 6,000.
If you walk or drive, it'll take you 3 months to get here from South Nigeria. If you fly, it'll take you 6 hours.
Come on. Yeah. So I'm curious to know the journey. You know what I mean? Yeah, people would see sunshine and rainbows right now. They see Adze Ugah, the product. They see Adze Ugah. I call you the kingmaker. I call you the kingmaker. Once they rub shoulders with you, I mean, you're on quality projects. You know what I mean? Let's be honest about that. You're on quality projects, and if I work with you or someone works with you, then come on. Let's be honest. I know you won't admit to this, but I'm really curious to know in your journey. There were hardships. There were sacrifices that needed to be made. There were sacrifices that your parents needed to make for you to come to South Africa. I mean, I heard that you spoke about they had to buy you tickets, they had to do this, that, and you were an engineer. You know what I mean? An engineer. Were you working at that time?
No.
In Nigeria?
No. So I was about to graduate when I decided to quit the engineering to basically jump into film school. But I'd done some work, student work experience program, which you normally do, or internships, as you would call it, with engineering firms. Yeah. So I'd done some work, but I just knew that this wasn't for me because I did not know how to create in that space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like a bad engineering student. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed doing other things. And that for me was a big sign or a big red flag that don't do this.
Don't go there.
Yeah, do what you know you enjoy doing, because it meant that even if there was no money, right, in it, I would still do it. It meant that even if things were inconvenient, right, I would still get up and do it because passion would drive me, and that was important at that time. To be able to have an extra fuel tank for the work that needed to be done. And you're right. There's nothing glamorous about making movies. It's hard work. It's really getting down and dirty, and it's like a friend of mine calls me a construction worker. Because that's the best that they can use to describe the process of making movies. It's like like construction worker.
Well, we are construction workers.
Yeah. So and there will be days when you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because the conditions aren't just convenient. So you do need something that will actually help push you past that threshold where you feel, no, this is humanly wrong to carry on doing, and if you don't have that, it'll be difficult for you to crack it, because number one, there is nobody, cheering you on. Everybody was worried that this space you're going into,
it's risky.
It's
very risky.
And the weird thing is that everybody has a TV in their house. When you think about it, TV is like the most common media on this planet. But knowing what it takes to make TV, 90% of people who have these TVs don't know what it takes to make TV. And it's crazy because even people in government don't know what it takes to make TV, but yet they also have TVs. They think, the TV, the engineers that make the TV is a different thing, but the content that's on the TV requires a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, and most of the people who end up doing it is because they love it. you know, and that for me is a big criteria. You have to love it. I mean, when I was in film school here at AVDA, I mean, I wasn't earning a living. I depended on money coming from home to basically survive. But
from the
Nigeria,
parents.
yeah.
But were you working back home?
By the time I'd come here,
Like as in, were you at least doing something maybe?
no, by the time I'd come here, there was no work. I wasn't working.
By the time you were there?
By the time I'd left,
Prior to that?
yeah, prior to that, I had some income.
You were...
Yes, I was doing, for lack of a better word, I'll call it tenders. But let me explain to you what they were really.
Okay.
I was designing like greeting cards. Like I could design
Cards?
like cards, like a Christmas card.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like for like a company. So for example, companies would have complimentary cards for like Happy Easter, Happy Christmas. You know, from let's say ABSA, Standard Bank. I was doing that.
Oh, that's nice. So did you save some of that money?
That was some of the money that brought
you to South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. Even the first degree in film school, that was some of the money that helped me get there. Because that was basically how I lived.
You combined money with your parents.
Exactly.
And then that's what brought you...
That helped bring me
to South Africa.
Yes, but of course, now that I'm here, I'm not doing that anymore. How do I survive? So I was very, very lucky. There was a guy who was into IT that knew me and knew somebody who was just opening a production company that time in Braamfontein. And it wasn't far from AVDA.
Do you still remember his name?
I even met him last week.
What's his name?
His name is Setembele Kala.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So me and him are still like, we're still doing things together. Like I'm still part of that family. Yeah. You know, but it wasn't like a big production company. He handled mostly, you know, like there were big projects that he was doing. Yeah. But that was way before I came into the picture. So he had little outfits that went to record wedding videos. Oh. So I was recording a lot of wedding videos. Ooh.
So that food killed you a lot. So
but that's the thing. The wedding videos, it was killing. But also, doing the wedding videos. So on weekends, chances are I'll be in the Free State recording a wedding. Or I'll be in Limpopo recording a wedding. Like, so that's what I was doing. So for a lot of those times, recording the wedding, editing the wedding, using PC, using old Adobe, like it was very, very rudimental. And the camcorders. I don't even remember the camcorders.
I think I do.
The camcorders with the cassette, yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
That was me. Like week after week, wedding videos. So that's kind of how I survived. That kept me. Even though the money wasn't much, I won't lie.
I used to record weddings and funerals too growing up.
But you see, doing that helped me also improve my skill set. Because that meant my editing mind was being sharpened as well as my cinematography mind, in terms of how to shoot. So all of those kind of contributed to kind of like giving me a skill set that eventually I'm using right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but it wasn't always glamorous and pleasant. There were days that I wanted to quit school and think about getting a regular job so that I could pay my rent, because the money that came from the wedding videos wasn't really enough to pay rent.
This time you're in AVDA?
Yes, this time in AVDA.
Okay.
And I was staying in Braamfontein. There was for those who remember, there was a company, I've forgotten the name. It was a Chinese-run company that handled all the student accommodation in Braamfontein. And all of us basically were at their mercy.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
Were you struggling to pay there?
Yeah.
Wait. Right. So you're videoizing. And you're making money, right? But where's this money going?
You have to schoolwork, transport, food, and all of that other stuff. School fees.
How much is school fees?
No, school fees. So there's one thing, again, that people don't realize is that if you're a foreign student, right, and you're studying in South Africa, you pay twice. Whoa. The amount. You don't pay the single amount. So whatever it is that you're studying. So the school fees at that time in AVDA, I think was about 20,000 a year.
So you had to pay 40?
I had to pay 40.
Also accommodation, same as accommodation?
No, accommodation was different. But school fees, you had to pay double the amount. That's the rule. That as a foreign student, you don't pay the same amount as a South African resident. You pay twice the amount. So I'd already paid, for me to get admitted, I had to pay a certain deposit, and I paid that. But the remainder was still outstanding. So little by little, I will pay. In fact, I only finished fully paying my school fees after graduating.
Whoa.
Like years after graduating.
Would you say this is the assurance or surety that you if you don't have money for school fees, that they're going to take you from there, or what's the case?
No. I was just lucky. Let me just put it that way, because I mean, what was I? My only option was to stop schooling, because if you owed school fees at that time and after,
Yeah.
you couldn't get into the campus, right? There are many things you couldn't do. You know, I was just lucky. I don't know, till today, I cannot describe how lucky I
How
was.
lucky you were.
But every single time I came in to school, even though my card, right, was not active because of old school fees,
Yeah.
it will clock me in.
Whoa,
It will clock me in.
that's
In the place where we were staying, the residential student res,
Yeah.
right? If you missed your rent, you will come and find a chain outside your door.
outside your door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll find a chain. And there were days when I'll be like, oh my God, I'll come back and I'll find a chain. And then when I'll come, I won't see a chain.
Because you haven't paid. Are you
I
late
knew I
or
was-
you're not paying
No,
at all?
I was late. I will always be late because I needed the weddings to be able to pay. And if the weddings weren't happening, because they weren't happening every week, don't forget. And I was making, I think, if I was lucky, about $500 was the most I'll make from recording a wedding. That was the most that
A
I'll make.
weekend.
A weekend. If I make that, but remember, I'll have like a wedding 1 week in a month. If I was lucky.
So which degree were you studying in after?
The after, I think it's a BFA, right? The after one is a bachelor, the
Okay.
honors degree. They
Okay.
call it, is it what do they call the honors degree anymore? Can't even remember. But all I remember very well was that when I finished, by the time I was done with after, nobody even asked me for my certificate. No, I mean, that's the thing.
Welcome to the industry.
No, because everybody wants to know what you can do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, like I said earlier, I had a very strong show reel from school. And that show reel was what kind of guaranteed that, okay, here's somebody who has something that we could use. And I keep telling kids this, that the most important thing while you're in film school, even before you go into the industry, you've got to have something to show. Nobody wants to see a certificate. Nobody wants to see whether you're TUT, City Varsity, or AFDA. You know,
Yeah.
People want to know what you
Want
can
to
do.
see.
You want to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I echo what you say because I think when so I was new in the industry back then, and there's this gentleman that came from AFDA, so it was his first week in the job, or on the job rather. So they gave him a responsibility to be an AD. You know, he didn't know anything, but he was from school. You know what I mean? And I think all of that affected his work negatively, and he actually lost that job
Well,
within
look,
a week.
I can tell you now, the film school, no film school can make you a filmmaker. It's a reality that people don't understand. You know, I went to film school thinking that, okay, film school will make me a filmmaker. But then I realized earlier on that film school only puts you in the environment where you can meet other wannabe filmmakers and where the resources that will help you to become a filmmaker are available and are within your reach.
So it's a community.
That is what
It's
it
a
is.
society,
It's a society. And also, like I said, it's a resource-filled society. So what you need to understand how it's done, right, is there. So you can practice, so you can, rehearse. per
Hone your
se.
skills.
That's what it is. There is no film school that can break your head and put in the ability of being a great filmmaker. It doesn't exist. Not even NYU can do it. No film school can do it. You are your own raw material as a filmmaker. You go there, your hunger, your desire, your passion to learn as much as you can, to soak up information like a sponge and then put it out there in ways that your audience want. That is something that you bring to the table. And then the film school takes the credit for it when you are famous, of course.
Alumni. No shade. No shade.
It's
No
good.
shade. No shade. If you're this passionate after, it's been 20 plus years, if you're this passionate now, you know what I mean? I can only imagine the fire that you had coming to South Africa, how eager, like you in South Africa now, you've landed in the country, you've arrived in the country, and you're looking forward to navigating, the streets and you navigating everything. Like, how was it for Adze Ugah? Like what were the what do you call it? Experiences. What were the experiences for you when you first set your foot in South Africa and you were like, I'm gonna do this?
So let me tell you one thing about being a foreigner that actually is an advantage.
Okay.
It's perspective.
Perspective.
Like everything that I saw, that I met, that I encountered was fresh. I didn't take anything for granted because you, the citizen, or anybody who has been in the space for too long,
Yes.
right, will not see the magic in the ordinary.
Yes.
For them, it's just business as usual. That's what I realized. It was like for everybody, oh, this is just how it was. But when everything I saw just sparked my curiosity, I was like, wow, this is cool. Little things, like that other people will despise and not look at. I was finding very, very fascinating, and I used that. Let me give you a simple example of how this thing happened to a very famous director, Paul Verhoeven, right, who is famous for making movies like Starship Troopers,
Yeah.
RoboCop, and Basic Instinct, I think. He's Dutch,
Yeah.
originally, and he
Yeah.
had made this film, I think, called The Fourth Man,
Okay.
many years back, and it won like many awards.
Many
Very brilliant,
awards.
brilliant film. And then Hollywood asked him to come to Hollywood,
Yeah.
and work as a director.
Yeah.
But he wasn't getting the work that he wanted. Instead, he was getting scripts like RoboCop. I'm like, what am I doing RoboCop? I'm making great stories.
making great
now I'm
stories.
making B-grade, half man, half robot movies. What the hell?
Yeah.
And he was so upset, and he didn't, and his wife told him, just relax, don't stress, don't reject the script. Look at the story again, and then tell the story from your point of view as somebody who is not from this country. What is it about America that fascinates you? And he was like, And then he realized that, wait a minute, there's something about America. Americans behave like used car salesmen everywhere you go. That's what he said. That everywhere you go, everybody's behaving like a used car salesman, And then he was like, I'm going to use that. And that was basically how he textured his film. RoboCop, Starship Troopers are all commentaries about society in ways that you would never imagine. So he took B-grade movies to an elevated status with the way he saw them because of his context. The American context was not his originally.
Whoa.
He was Dutch. But when he came to the US, he saw all of this. He started putting and infusing all of that, and it became a commentary on society. And hence, his films became wonderful, amazing blockbusters because of that insight. I think I had the same bug.
Interaction.
Well, yeah, but with everything I encountered.
Oh, bug. That
Yes,
bit you was
exactly.
a similar.
My very, very first feature film, what was I doing? I was in a taxi, and I was driving, and in the taxi, it stopped by a squatter camp near, what do you call it? Near Malibongwe Drive. I remember very well. And I was seeing people coming from the squatter camp and getting into the taxi, and they were even better dressed than me. I was staying in Braamfontein in the res, and I would occasionally go to Pretoria to go and see friends. Then I'll come back. And I'm like, wow, here's somebody, they look how much better dressed than me.
Yeah.
And they even have better looking clothes than me.
Yeah.
But they're staying in the squatter camp. But even though I don't have a
it's
house.
really crazy.
Yeah,
It's really,
yeah.
you wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't understand that. Then I'm thinking, there's a story here.
Yeah.
And then I went back to that squatter camp and I did some research. And then what came out of that experience was the first film I made in South Africa called Gog Helen.
I beg you?
Gog Helen.
Gog Helen.
That was the very first film that I made, and it came from there. So it's seeing the things that people take for granted that I go, that's special.
Speaking about Gog Helen, was it independently?
Yeah, it was independent. Yeah.
Okay, so meaning that it was self-funded?
No, I didn't self-fund it. Who was I? Where will I get the money? So the things that, like I said, I'm strong. I'm somebody who takes learning really seriously.
Yeah.
So I came to study directing, but even though I discovered that AFDA had a writing directing package.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. But then I couldn't really write very well. And I realized that, my writing was very weak.
Okay.
So I constantly didn't do well in writing.
Yeah.
I was like, no, but I want to direct. But I realized that, you really can't be a good director unless you wrote. The two are inseparable.
I get you.
I
get you.
Because, you're a storyteller. And a storyteller has to see what the context is and basically adapt that to what the script is saying.
Yeah.
And directing is not just making people say what you want them to say, how you want them to say it, and then telling the camera to move. That's like directing traffic. Everybody has an internal mechanism that you have to kind of find and then use to kind of propel the process.
Channel it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't write. Like I tried writing, and every time I wrote and I sent it, somebody said this sucked. So what I was doing was I started practicing writing. Like I will write, and I'll read books, then I'll write, and then I would change what I've written. So I spent like the last 5, 6 years writing the script, which is Gokelim, by the way. So this idea that I came across, of the a lady that came into the taxi that was standing by the taxi rank at the squatter camp, I began writing the story, and I'll write
that stemmed from that.
That stemmed from that.
That was a premise.
That was the premise.
Whoa,
so I'll
that's amazing.
write, and then I won't like it, then I'll change it. Write again, then I'll change it. It took me 5 years to write the Gokelim script. But by the time I'd written it, I'm like, okay, I'm using all the rules.
That's
I'm
amazing.
using all the, the tricks of the trade. When I attended, I was fortunate enough to attend a Robert McKee seminar. And the things that he was speaking about, I went back and I applied onto the script. I literally did that. It took, and I wasn't thinking that this script was going to be made. I was just teaching myself to write. Scene by scene, beat by beat. How does the whole thing look like together by the time it comes together like a perfect meal? And then randomly, I wasn't even in South Africa. I was not even in South Africa. I had gone back to Nigeria because I was having my firstborn.
So you had a family back home?
No. But the lady who I was with, had gone back home to give birth.
Wait. So did you guys meet in South Africa?
We met here, but she's Nigerian.
And then yes.
Yeah. So basically, there was an issue, child related.
Okay.
So she went back home. So I went home to support her.
Okay.
While I was outside the country, I got the call through WhatsApp saying, "Do I have a script?" And that script came. That call came from somebody who knew me because I had directed on Zone 14.
Yeah.
And that person was a writer. And
also, you have a bit of income right now, so you're able to fly back home.
No, of course. No, by this time I'm working.
Things are nice.
no, by this time I was working.
Things are looking
so
up.
I was working on Zone 14 by that time. And then, of course, the season had wrapped. So I went back home, expecting my first child.
Yeah.
And then I got this call about, do I have a script lying around that? Because there's this funders or investors who have money and they want to put into a feature film. And then I'm like, I've got a script, but I don't know whether it's good. That's what I said to them. That I've got a script that I've been working on for a long time. And I sent it to them via email. And then a few hours later, they called back to say, no, we love it. Please, can we make it?
Can we talk?
So, of course, when I came back, I came back and went into production for Gokelim.
Things are looking up. This is your first project.
That was my first big project.
Feature, right?
Feature, yeah.
Where can people get that?
Gokelim, it's been around. This was like 2010.
Yeah.
I think we did it in 2010. If you go online, I'm sure you'll find it somewhere.
So you don't know platforms.
Because I wasn't a producer. So I'm not also the executive producer. I was just the writer and the director.
And directing.
So I'm sure
So they know the distribution and all of that.
Yeah, they handled that. That for me was the first film, and that really opened a lot of doors.
Wait.
Yeah.
So I read up on when I was doing some research on you. Obviously, I came across a project by the name of Via or Viva.
Oh no, that was in Nigeria. Yeah, that was the first film I did when I finished film school in Nigeria.
When you finished film school, was it self-funded?
No, that was not. In fact, it wasn't even self-funded. It was that entire film had my sister, my brothers, my uncle. I just used family. I was the one with I did the photography with the camera, and the cast were my family members.
But I guess that was your first encounter with everything, and how did it perform back then?
Oh no, it was for a film that was made by a family. It won like some awards there at home.
Wait, that's amazing.
Amazing. It was my sister was the lead. God rest her soul. My cousins were. She's late now.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
My cousins were like I said. It was like everybody I cast there was just family.
But I feel like you should count it. I feel like you should count it because it's one of your projects.
I suppose so. Yeah, but the fact that you saw it meant that it's still speaking.
It's embedded.
Yeah,
it's embedded in history.
Yeah, that was my very first film, and then I remember my sister because when it won the award. There was a national award ceremony.
Yeah.
And at that time, she was studying to be a medical doctor.
Yeah.
So she was already like, I think, 5 years or 4 years into her medical degree. And she had to go and collect the award because I was already here. And then she went and she was sitting amongst all these famous actors. And then she was like, for her first red carpet Hollywood of event. And then she got this certificate for the film and the plaque. And I was just laughing. I was like, "This, we just did this thing in the back of our house in the village. you know, did it for fun, and here we are."
Amazing. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yes. How many siblings do you have?
I've right now I have 3 brothers. Yeah.
3 brothers.
Yeah.
You just said right now.
Yeah. I mean, I had my sister was we were 5 altogether.
So in total, you're
Yeah.
5.
So with her being late now, we're only 3. Yeah, we're 4. Am I saying?
How strict are your parents?
My parents are cool. They're old, but
They
they're
weren't
cool.
strict.
No, they were very strict. African parents. Oh my God. I know, but I was the experiment. I broke all the rules.
No.
Because all my other brothers have conventional careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life back then, like, would you say that you were like any other kid, like you socialized back home?
No. I was that kid that you'll dismiss. I didn't stand out or stick out in any way. I was not athletic. You know, I loved telling stories, and that was about the most unique thing about me at that time. I was that energetic when it came to stories and movie making or movie watching, but I wouldn't say I was special in any way.
In any way.
Yeah, no, there was nothing attractive remotely about me at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
South Africa, you in South Africa, and I can see now, you know, if Adze Ugah's there, there's a very, very big key player, very, very creative person, a very, 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 very creative person that is big when it comes to storytelling in the world, which is Mr. Angus Gibson. How do you come across this gentleman, and what is your first interaction looking like? What is that interaction that really embedded that Mr. Ugah is going to be working with this gentleman for the rest of his life? Because as far as I can see, if Adze Ugah's there, Mr. Gibson is there, and Zeno. Like, how does this, trio marry?
The Mr. Gibson story is so funny. It really is a funny one. I'll tell you what. So I had finished film school, of course.
Yeah.
And this time we had done the first and second season of Home Affairs. And the line producer of Home Affairs was now producing a series for Curious Pictures called Heartlines.
Which is now Quizzical Pictures.
Quizzical, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heartlines. And Angus was one of the directors that had been picked to direct, I think, 3 or 4 out of the feature films, because they're all standalone feature films.
Heartlines, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
they
a series.
still do them now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, because they were not series; they were feature films, all standalone feature films around values. Be it faith, be it hope, be it redemption, all of those things. And he was directing, I think, 3, and I was asked to be the second assistant director for that show for a section of the Heartline series. And I remember that was my first time. I met Jet Novuka, I met Rosie Motene.
Brilliant people.
This was like people who were working with Patrick Mofokeng, Winston Shona. Oh my God!
Did he?
Yeah, he was the
pass away?
Yeah, he's late now.
Rest in peace.
And I'd seen him in Nigeria when he did the Wild Geese. So I was like a huge fan of like Winston Shona. I'm like, oh my God. So when I came to South Africa, I'm like, Winston, you were in Wild Geese with Roger Moore. You were in a scene of film with James Bond, man. And he's like, yeah, So I was just like all my dreams were just coming through.
They were just coming through.
Yeah. So we were doing Heartlines, and then we were doing pre-prod.
Yeah.
My job was simple. I receive actors. I take the actors to the makeup and wardrobe to make sure they get fitted. And then I call the directors to come and look at what they're doing.
As the AD, right?
As the AD. Yeah. Like I said, second assistant director. So by this time, I'm not the first AD. I'm still just a second assistant director. And I still had a first assistant director who I had to answer to. And of course, we're standing in the lunch queue, and then there's this tall white guy behind me with gray hair. And we were just talking. I was just like, you know what? I would really love to work for. I'd love to work for Bomb because, User had just come out. User 2, of course, not User 1. User 2 had come out, and I'd watched it. User 3 was already playing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, my God, it would be so good for me to work for Bomb because, and then Angus was behind me. Then he was like, you know what? I actually own Bomb.
You didn't know this?
I didn't know. I didn't know him. I didn't know him. I did not know. I had never met him. All I'd seen was just User on TV. I had never met Angus. I didn't know what he looked like.
Which role was he playing in the production?
He was the director.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but
how do you come across, how do you have this conversation with him?
No, I was just speaking randomly on the, when you go for lunch and you're standing in the queue, right? and I'm just talking.
Is this the first time you're seeing him?
No, not the first time I've seen him.
You've been interacting.
I've been interacting.
But not on a personal level.
No.
Okay.
And I
okay.
was just talking because I knew he was the director of this show.
Oh, yeah,
but I
yeah.
did not know he owned Bomb.
Whoa.
I did not know. So I was just like, I'd love to work for Bomb. Then he goes, I own Bomb. That's why you must be careful what you say in
What
public.
you say, yeah.
So I literally was like, okay. Then I gave him my showreel to take a look at. And he liked the show. He was like, no, we must talk. So then we had a meeting with him and Desiree. He invited me to meet Desiree at his house. And then he said, you know what? That they've just received a brief to develop a TV series for multi-choice called, they didn't have a name for it at that time. And it's meant to be a Nigerian South African show. And they wanted to know whether I had any insight. I'm like, well, what do you want to know? I can tell you what I know. Even though I'm not from that part of the world where you want to tell the story, because that was a Lagos focus story, but I'm not from Lagos.
Yeah.
But I could just give some insights and then just kind of give some inputs and so just creatively put some thoughts together. And that show eventually went on to become Jacob's Cross.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I forgot which year Jacob's Cross came to life.
2005 was the first time we rolled camera.
And then you've never stopped playing with these people? Working with these people?
It hasn't stopped, yeah. And I met Zuno, of course, because Zuno came in as a DOP on Jacob's Cross. And of course, I went from an associate producer, kind of like writer, not really writing, but, being involved in the writing room, especially for the Nigerian part.
Bouncing ideas.
Yes. Then eventually I went on to direct, and then, of course, now I'm working with Zuno, working with Angus. Yeah.
Let's talk about how you, listen. When you were doing Isibaya, you're doing Isibaya, could you hear the languages that they speak?
No. I mean, at that time, so Isibaya began in 2012, and the things that I didn't have, I'm picking up the language from the streets like anybody else would. The Zulu. True. I'm picking up just this. It's not even the right Zulu, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And I wasn't doing too badly because we had been working on Zone 14.
I remember back then.
And Zone 14, of course, was based in Orlando East, Orlando West, in Soweto. So, and of course, Kasi Zulu is easy to pick up. So I was not struggling. And of course, the thing about directing is that you always had somebody who was a script supervisor who could guide you in terms of the language. Very well. So, like, even if I wasn't sure, but I could tell, that this is right, this is wrong, But then, of course, as a director, your impulse is not even the words per se, it's the emotion.
It's the emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
The picture also.
Exactly. So, and that's how people were directing in South Africa for years. They didn't understand when you think about it. Yeah, so it was really very hard. But then when Isibaya started, I was like a whole different Zulu. I'm like, yo. Yeah. By the time we went to KZN, because I think our first shoot in Isibaya was in KZN, it was in Msinga. We went to start.
Msinga.
Yeah, we started shooting there. And I'm like, okay, this is another next level Zulu, guys, please help. But then, of course, it was good to be exposed to that because then now you're also picking that up. 8 years of doing Isibaya, it has to rub off on you in some way. That's how long we did Isibaya for, 8 years.
Yeah, because I was trying to connect how you directed all of these, Zulu-speaking people, and you have to listen to the dialogue sometimes so that at least you know how to transition, what to cut together and whatever. So I was trying to navigate how you actually made that work out because you're Nigerian and you speak English and you speak your language, which is, I'd love to know.
I speak Hausa.
Hausa?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking Hausa, and now all of a sudden, there's...
Look, but believe it or not, right? When I came to South Africa, I found more similarities with the culture here than I expected. What the culture shock was more of the colonial influence on the country. Okay. But in terms of the indigenous culture, indigenous habits, right? There are too many similarities. Too many similarities between my people and Zulu people. Like, I'm not even making that up. There are even words that are the same. Like the same word for meat in Zulu, the same word for meat in my language.
What do you call it?
Nama.
Nama?
Yeah.
Do you know Nama in Sotho is the same way you're saying Nama right now?
Yes.
We also say it in Sotho.
Exactly.
Nama.
And you know what meat is in Zulu. When you look at the difference.
Nyama. Exactly.
So there are many words. I can tell you, and also I found that very fascinating. I'm like, oh my God, there are many similarities. Culturally, what you do, respect, how you eat, elders, what do you call it? Inheritance. There were too many similarities. I'm like, my God, when we went to KZN and we were spending time in Msinga, I'm like, this is so much like how I grew up. Like the huts. I'm like, this is all familiar. This is that film that I made, Via, right?
Yeah.
If you see the film, it looks exactly like some of the scenes in Isibaya.
Yeah.
Because that was the landscape.
Whoa.
That was the landscape. So it felt like there was a kind of full circle thing happening with my experiences and my careers. Yeah.
And how do you then? I know we're pressed for time right now. We just have like about a couple of minutes left. But can you just briefly tell me about Shaka Ilembe, because I can see that you
Shaka.
And when are we getting the new season?
Yeah, let's just say sometime this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
How was that?
Shaka. Shaka is a big project. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's a big, ambitious project, and it's this is the third season. So we've done season 1, we've done season 2, so and each season is different. I have to admit.
Yeah.
With its own set of challenges.
Yeah.
We hope that the story resonates with the audience like the first two did, the first 2 seasons. This third season is the last season, of course. Whoa. So for us, it was a matter of go big or go home, if you know what I mean. So the world is slightly bigger, with more characters and.
So there's characters going in. There's
new
characters.
There are new characters, which you will see, of course, by the time the marketing material starts hitting the socials. And the story is energetic. Very, very diverse. It's a good way to go. Let me just say it's on a good note. It ends on a good note in terms of how the whole thing basically kind of like rounds up. But for us and for me particularly, I always say that shows like Shaka Zulu or Shaka Ilembe, are a testament to what is possible. Within the South African film and TV landscape. And the biggest disaster or tragedy for us would be that after Shaka Ilembe, it stops.
What's next?
There should be more. There should be more. All the funders and all the streamers that have money to spend on stories should be saying, because Shaka Ilembe existed, we can do X, Y, Z. We can tell the story of Mzalekazi. We can tell the story of Mapungubwe. We can tell the story of Soshangani. We can tell the story of the Sotho king, the one and only famous Moshoeshoe. Because of Shaka Zulu, we can tell the story of Timbuktu, of the Angolan warrior queen. You can tell that, and that is what this means for us. That we've broken the glass ceiling to effectively show the world that the stories about our ancestry, about our identity, right, can be told on this scale, in this way that does not disrespect the authenticity of the context.
The context.
Yeah.
Would you say this is the highlight of your career?
Yes, I think I can say that for now. But I don't feel any different than when I first did my first film.
I see.
I think if I was to be fair, I would say everything that I had gone through, for myself specifically, and maybe for many of the other BOM team members, was preparing us for this, for Shaka.
Yeah.
Isibaya, when you think about it, Zone 14, when you think about it, even Jacob's Cross, and Yizo was preparing
you for this main event,
for this big main event. And we pray it's not the end, but many other main events to follow.
It can never be the end
not just for us. Not just for us.
Yeah.
This is what I think people fail to understand, that this is not just important for BOM. It's important for the entire continent, that you can tell your stories authentically without dilution and interference, in a way that honors the legacy of your ancestors.
Yeah.
That for us is really the thing, that we get this right, then we've opened the floodgates for more to come.
How many countries does it play in?
Well, we're talking about multi-choice, right? So I think all the African countries that multi-choice has a footprint in will play.
Okay. So it doesn't play in other countries outside of Africa?
I think that's up to their distribution. Yeah, they will decide where they shop it around. And to which channels and that sort of thing. Okay. But our job is to just make it right.
Make it
so brilliant, that it has wings to go beyond the shores of this country.
My word.
Yeah.
Mr. Ugah, I genuinely love your work, and growing up, I've always, been inspired by, the level of professionality, the level of dedication to your work, and I've
You're
watched
making me
a
sound
lot
old.
of.
Say growing up. How you mean? Aren't we almost the same age?
Come on. But I've really, I admire your work. Please,
it's a
keep
team
up the good
effort.
work.
I mean, I always tell people, honestly, it has to do with the team, guys. I can't take credit for any of this. No matter how good you are, not one soccer player cannot be the reason why the team always scores.
Yeah.
It's always a team effort. Good coaches, good technical managers, good goalkeepers, and an entire ecosystem of people playing their part is what make good stories possible. And I've just been lucky to always land in the company of good storytellers. Without that, I'll be useless. I mean, I'll probably be drawing comic books instead of making movies. Because it really is about the team. And credit to the team. Like I said, one person can't take the credit.
Before we go, do you want to just, drop a couple of words of wisdom to people that really want to do this, and people that feel like I'm losing, people that feel like I don't have enough more to go on and on and on. Do you just, can you look into that camera and just drop a couple of words?
Okay, well.
You can move the mic a bit.
Okay, what can I say? I mean, I can only speak from my own personal experience in terms of what has worked for me. And like I said, the love and the passion for the medium is first and foremost. Understanding that it represents you in every way, and that you are your own raw material, according to wise men like Robert McKee. So build yourself as a storyteller. Learn the skills that you need to. Don't despise anything. Learning is not easy. It's ugly, rough, and it takes blood, sweat, and tears. But it's something you have to push through. And then be insistent on wanting to leave your mark, your footprint, or your signature on everything that you do. And you better make sure that signature represents the best version of you. Because when you think about it, at the end of the day, why we rush to watch your stories is because of you, not because of the stories itself. If there's issues with you as a vessel, then there'll be issues with the kind of stories you tell. So work on yourself as a vessel so that you can actually deliver to people what they know they need, or what they don't even know they need through your amazing entertainment. I mean, I can speak on for hours about this, but let me just leave you with this.
That's profound. You heard it from him, the man himself, Mr. Ugah, Adze Ugah. From me, Mukwena, thank you so much. Same time, same place. Thank you so much.
Lafafazi phunga kwakhala bezulu bathe yawe lathi ngaphendula xa ndithetha ndisusa ngathi yaphepha vula iphepha